Hi, my wonderful crochet friends. My name is Ashley, and today I will be teaching you how to make the falling leaves wreath. It is a really simple and quick yarn crochet project. You will love it. It works up so fast. So this wreath here, if you notice, it has the falling leaves effect. These are puff stitches, V-stitch puff stitches that create the falling leaves. And it's really, really easy. I'm really excited to teach it to you all today. The yarn I'm using, unfortunately, I don't know what type of yarn this is. I picked this up at the local Goodwill, but it is a bulky 5-weight yarn. So it is a chunky yarn, and it is like really super soft. Um, but this wreath has lots of potential. You can use this in variegated yarn that changes colors, like oranges, browns, golds, yellows, or you can even use a green, like greens, hunter greens, any color that looks like a wreath, or you can just do one solid color like I did. So today I will be teaching you how to make this in the same exact yarn, and we will be using a 8mm crochet hook. And this hook here, this is just a basic Boye brand 8mm crochet hook. And you will need scissors, and that is all you need. And also, your wreath, you can decorate this with lots of fall decorations like leaves, mini pumpkins, little berries, even these little walnuts. You can decorate them with those, like, and pine cones, um, real leaves. Like, this has lots of potential. And also, I think this would also look good as a centerpiece on a dining room table. Oh, and if by chance you all recognize this yarn, just go ahead and comment below and let me know what brand this is and the name. That way I can purchase this in the future because I really like this yarn. This yarn is so soft. It is so like plushy and soft. And this is how it came when I bought it from the Goodwill. It came in just a big ball rolled up like this. So I guess it comes with probably, gosh, probably, well, it being bulky, um, maybe 500 yards, maybe or so. Came with a lot. So, yeah, so if you know what yarn this is, just comment below and let me know. I also want to note that if you want to make this wreath much larger, then I would just add more rows, and I will explain that here in a little bit once we get further along in the video. And if you want to achieve the thickness of a bulky 5-weight yarn, you could always just use 2 strands of a medium 4-weight yarn to achieve the thickness. So to begin, we will make a slip knot. And use our 8mm crochet hook. We will chain 33 chains. So now what we will do is we will join in the round. So we will take our chain and just follow it along. We will take that back loop of our very first chain. So we will insert our hook into that back loop. We will just pinch right there. Grab our yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So now we will chain 2, and I am going to work in the back loops of my chains. So I'm just going to turn my chains, and then there's my back bumps. So I'm going to work into the back bumps. So in the back bump of the same chain, which is right here, this is our back bump, we are going to make our first puff stitch. So we will yarn over, insert into this back bump, and we are going to want to make our puff stitches as loose and as big as possible. So we're going to yarn over and pull through and just pull up and stretch. And pinching that back loop right there, that back bump, that also helps. I'm just going to yarn over one more time, go into that same back bump, yarn over, pull that through and stretch that up. We are going to do that one more time. We're going to yarn over. We're going to pull through all the loops on our hook. We're going to chain 1 to secure. And then we're going to chain 1 more time. And we are going to repeat this puff in that same back bump, that same loop here. So yarn over, go back into that back bump, yarn over, stretch that up as high as we can. We're going to yarn over and do that 2 more times. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all those loops, chain 1 to secure. So there's our first falling leaf. Our next step will be in the back bump of the next chain. And after you make your puff stitch, I want to show you your back bump. It shrinks up a bit. So this is my back bump of my next chain. And it kind of looks like, excuse me, it kind of looks like a little knot. This might be a little difficult to get into. Well, not really difficult, but a little bit harder than a regular chain. But that right there, that is our back bump. So if you do not want to work in the back bump, that is fine. You could always work into the back loops of our chains. But if you look closely, that shrunk my chain up quite a bit, making this puff stitch. So I'm going to yarn over for a half double crochet. and I'm going to try to get into that back bump. And if you can't get into your back bump, you could always use a smaller hook to get into that back bump. But we're just going to yarn over and complete a half double crochet. We're going to do this one more time in the next chain in the back bump. I like to use my nails just to kind of grab it to help me out. So we have our falling leaf V-stitch puff and 2 half double crochets. This will be our repeat pattern for this whole round. So in the very next chain in this back bump, we're going to make another V-stitch puff. We'll go into the back bump here. I'm going to stretch it up as high as I can. Yarn over and go back into that back bump. Yarn over. Stretch that as high as I can. I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops. Chain 1 to secure and chain 1. I'm going to repeat another puff in that same back bump. And then chain 1 to secure. And there's my next chain of that back bump. It's shrunk up quite a bit, but it's still there. I'm just going to yarn over, go into that back bump. Sometimes it's a little hard to get into that back bump after that puff stitch. I'm just going to yarn over and then complete a half double crochet. Next chain in the back bump, 1 half double crochet. And we will just repeat this all the way around until the end. I also want to give you all a little tip. So I've already made my pattern repeat, and I'm going to make that V-stitch puff. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into that back bump. But when I make this puff, I'm going to pinch the stitch after. That stitch that we're going to make the half double crochet in, the stitch that shrinks up, we're going to pinch that so it doesn't shrink up on us. That will make it a whole lot easier for us. So we're going to stretch that, but I'm going to pinch that stitch after this one. And that helps. And I'm just going to yarn over and pull through. Chain 2. Oops. Yarn over, go back into that same stitch to make that other puff. Yarn over and pull through all, and then chain 1 to secure. And then my next chain, it's not shrunk up. So I can just yarn over and go right into that bump very easily. and make that half double crochet. So that should help you all quite a bit. That way you don't have a hard time. And you will notice that this will look quite big, but once we make the next 2 rows, it all evens out. So I will meet you all back at the end. And here's what our work looks like so far. And the last 2 chains are 1 half double crochet in each. After that, we are just going to skip these chain 2s right here in the beginning of the row, and we are just going to slip stitch into that puff stitch. So that chain right there that's on top of that first puff, we're going to go into that and slip stitch join. You can pull that tight down if you want. So for row 2, we are going to chain 2, and around that very first puff stitch, we are going to make a front post half double crochet. So we will yarn over for our half double crochet. We will go in and around the back of that puff stitch. We will yarn over and pull it up, and then complete the half double crochet. And in that same loop here of that half double crochet, we're going to yarn over and go in and make a half double crochet. In this chain 2 space, we are going to repeat what we did in the first row for our falling leaves V-stitch puff. So we will go into that chain 2 space, yarn over, stretch it up high, yarn over, go back into that chain 2 space, yarn over and pull it up high. We're going to do that one more time. We're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on our hook. Chain 1 to secure the puff, and chain 1 again, and repeat another puff stitch. And then chain 1 to secure. So we are stacking our V-stitch puffs on top of our V-stitch puffs to create the falling leaf effect. So now our next step is the chain on top of this next puff stitch on row 1. We are going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain, and make 1 half double crochet. That same puff stitch on row 1, we're going to yarn over, and we are going to make a front post half double crochet. So we'll go into that chain 2 space and around the back of that puff, yarn over and pull that through, yarn over and complete the front post half double crochet. So that way, what we did right here in the beginning of row 2, around that first puff, we're doing the same thing around the second puff. And that creates, this helps, doing this helps push this V-stitch puff out. It makes it more pronounced. So that is our pattern repeat. So we will skip these 2 half double crochets here, and we will focus on our puffs. So we have our next first puff stitch here. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go in and behind that first puff, and I'm going to make a front post half double crochet and pull that closer together. In that same stitch here, right here, of that front post half double crochet, I'm going to go into that and make another half double crochet. And then in this chain 2 space, I will make my V-stitch puff again. Chain 1 to secure, and chain 1, and make another puff. And chain 1 to secure. And then in that next puff on row 1, I'm going to go into the chain of that puff, that chain on top of that puff right there. Go into that chain, make a half double crochet, and now we will do our front post half double crochet around that puff. And we will repeat this all the way around. So we will skip these 2 half double crochets and work that front post half double crochet, that other half double crochet, the V-stitch puff, then a half double crochet and a front post half double crochet. So we'll just repeat this all the way around until the end. And I will meet you back then. And here's what we have so far after row 2. And all you have to do is just push your puff stitches out to the front, because they kind of want to go towards the back. So just push them out. But once we do the front post half double crochet, it'll push them out for you. And if you would like to make yours bigger than mine, then all you will need to do is repeat row 2, the row that we just finished. Repeat that for as many times as you want, and then your very last row that you're going to end on, I would do what I'm going to teach you next for row 3. But at the end here for row 2, you will see that you have these 2 half double crochets here. But we had already created our 2 half double crochets here at the beginning of row 2. So what we will do is, for this last puff, we are just going to make 1 front post half double crochet. Just to pop that out. I'm going to tighten that down. Tightening that down pops it out more. and then I am going to slip stitch join in the first half double crochet. So the chain for my first half double crochet would be this chain right here. So here's my half double crochet, there's my other one. That's my chain 2. I'm just going to slip stitch join in that first half double crochet. Now for row 3, my last row, it is basically going to be the same thing that we just did for row 2, just a little bit of a difference. So we will chain 2, we're going to do our front post half double crochet around our first puff. That same stitch that I just finished, that front post, I'm going to go back into that and do 1 half double crochet, just like row 2. And we are going to make our V-stitch puff here for our falling leaves, but we are not going to yarn over all the loops to complete the puff. So we will yarn over, go into that chain 2 space, and yarn over. I need to get some yarn slack here. Stretch it up high, just like before. Do that 2 more times. And instead of yarning over all our loops, we're going to yarn over all the loops except for this one loop here. So we're going to yarn over through those loops. Now we have 2 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through those loops. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to repeat the puff that we just made. And this is my last row. So just remember, if you want to make this bigger, repeat row 2, and then on your last row, complete what I'm teaching right here. I'm going to pull through all the loops except for the one. Yarn over and pull through both those loops. Now we will go to our next puff stitch here. So we're not chaining 1. We're going to go to our next puff stitch, and we are going to make that half double crochet in that chain above that puff stitch there, just like row 2. And now it is time to make our front post half double crochet in and around that puff. And now we repeat. So we go to our next puff, which is this one. We will make our front post, then go back into that front post chain, make 1 half double crochet. In that chain 2 space, we're going to make that puff. I'm going to yarn over all the hooks except for this one loop here. yarn over, pull through both those loops. We're just going to chain one and repeat. I need to get more yarn slack. Stretch it up high. Do it 2 more times. Yarn over all of them but that one, and then yarn over. And then here's our next puff down here at the bottom here. Row 2. Go into that chain above that puff. Make that half double crochet. And then now it's time to make our front post. Half double crochet. And that is our repeat. And that is our repeat for our last row. Isn't that nice? Do you see how these puffs are just, how they just bulge out and it actually looks like leaves? Like, isn't that neat? So just imagine if you made it bigger and bigger. It really would look like falling leaves. I think it's a perfect wreath. Perfect. If you use this in the color green, it'll definitely look like a wreath. Or, like I said, you can use all sorts of different fall colors. That would look so beautiful. And if you use like decorations, like let's see, like these for instance, like look at that. You see how pretty that would be. And I got these at Dollar Tree. These two right here. I got these at Dollar Tree for $1.25 each. So you could take a hot glue gun. You can clip these leaves off. It's easy to cut. It's no wire, so you can just clip them right off. You can decorate them any way you want. Like, look how pretty. How pretty that is. So you can really use your imagination and really get this wreath looking fantastic. And it's really not hard to accomplish this at all. Just the 3 rows for the mini wreath, unless you want to make it bigger. But we're just going to go ahead and we're going to complete. And I'm going to finish you up here. And I'm going to meet you at the end. And then I'll show you the next step to take. So we're at the end here. So I have just, let's see, 2 more puffs left. And I just wanted to show you all. So I just got done doing my front post half double crochet. And I'm just going to jump over here to that next puff stitch. I'm going to go in and behind. Make that front post half double crochet. Pull that close and to pop that out. Yarn over and we'll go back into that front post half double crochet. Oops. Make that half double crochet. That helps build that up. I'm going to yarn over. Now I'm going to make that V-stitch puff. Stretch that up. Yarn over, pull through all of them but that one. Yarn over and pull through both of those. Chain 1 and repeat. Back in that chain 2 space. And that's secure. And this puff down here on the previous row, put that chain right there. I'm just going to yarn over and go into that chain. Make that half double crochet. And now it's time for the front post. Go into that chain 2 space and around that puff, make that front post half double crochet. And then I just jump right over to the next puff here. Yarn over, make that front post half double crochet, and go back into that front post half double crochet chain, make another half double crochet to build it up, and then make my last V-stitch puff for the falling leaves. And last one. And since we've already made those 2 half double crochets at the beginning of the row, right here on that last puff, I'm just going to make 1 front post half double crochet just to pop that puff out. And now it's time to slip stitch join. So I'm going to slip stitch join into that first half double crochet, not that chain 2. Just going to go into that, slip stitch, pull it tight together. And if you would like to use the same yarn for your hanging cord for your wreath, we're just going to stretch this out for as long as we want it. So if that's the length that I want, just leave it. Take my yarn and cut a yarn tail. And you just pop these out. Just pop them out, fluff them up. Oh yeah. Flip it over, and this is our back side, of course. So now we have our hanging cord here and our yarn tip. All I'm going to do is, see, I like to use smaller hooks when I like to weave in my yarn ends. So I'm just going to grab a smaller hook. Right here in that chain 2 space, or that, I'm not chain 2 space, but that beginning chain 2, I'm just going to take this yarn tail. I'm just going to go in through there. I'm going to grab it, pull that through, and I have a loop on my hook. Grab that yarn tail and pull it through that loop on my hook. And now that cord's not changing, it's going to stay the way I want it to. And then this, I'm just go in. Just weave that in and out if I want. Just to hide it a little bit better. That's all you gotta do. Simple. And then this beginning yarn tail. Oh, and I wanted to point out, do you see how nice that clean edge is? And that is because we worked in the back bump. So it's got that nice clean V edge on the inside. So if you work in your back bump on that very first row, you'll have this nice clean edge. But either way, even if you don't work in the back bump, it'll still be a nice clean edge. So it doesn't matter. So here for our beginning yarn tail, I can do the same thing I did right here with this yarn tail, or it's already knotted. So really, all I need to do is just kind of get this weaved in a little bit. Or, let's see, we can go up those chain twos that we did at the beginning of the row to build our row up, and just take it up that way. Really easy. And this would be a nice gift too. If you want to make this as a gift for a family member, I think the bulky yarn does great with this pattern. And even though this is a light yellow, I still think this yellow looks fantastic. Like if I put, let me clip that real quick. If I put these decorations with this, I think that's pretty. I think that's very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. Very nice. And actually, I'm thinking about making some little mini pumpkins as a tutorial. I do plan on showing how to make this pumpkin stake that you can stick in your plants or your garden or in your front yard by your steps or by your porch. I do plan on making this very soon for you all. So really, the pumpkin applique, like, look how nice. Like, you can do a lot with this wreath, and you can make this for Christmas as well. So yeah, so I hope you all really enjoyed this tutorial and this pattern that I made for you all. And I will see you all very, very soon with a lot more fall and winter crochet patterns. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you really enjoy my content, hit the subscribe button. That way you can get lots of updates on, well, not lots of updates, but updates on the crochet patterns, the crochet pattern tutorials that I make for you all. So thank you all so much. See you again soon. Bye-bye.